Hello and welcome to Off the Line, a show where we discuss all things football. We are four engineering graduates with a lot of time on our hands. Today we're taking a closer look at the Premier League. But before we start, I think we all can take a moment to appreciate what a season this has been. I mean, the season had it all. What do you think was the most memorable moment from the season?
Yeah, the memorable moments, to name a few, I think the rise of Liverpool should be one. Like how they landed up constantly and they had everything every time they played. And secondly, I would like to say Bruno has been, a standout performer, and the moments that he brought on reminded me and gave me glimpses of, the time of football that we enjoyed.
Right.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Avinash, why don't you take it from there? I mean, what are your
Well, there were a lot of memorable moments for sure, but being a Chelsea fan, I would believe, you know, finishing in the top four
Yeah,
without
that's true. That's
top
yeah,
signing, losing him before the season
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Right.
in the top four is a big deal. I think that was actually been a memorable season for Chelsea, irrespective of us, even if we don't win a cup in the FA Cup. So I think it's been a very good season for us. Even though we haven't won a cup yet, we might. But it's been a very successful season and it's been a pretty memorable one for sure.
Right, right. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I feel like the most memorable takeaway from this season was the suspense. I feel like being a United fan, we all knew Liverpool will. I feel like, on a serious note, I feel like this season had it all. Right? You saw the Premier League for what it was. The big teams brought their game. But at the same time, what the Premier League is known for is the unpredictability of it all.
Mhm.
We saw teams like Norwich beat a team like City.
yeah,
And the contrast between the two
Yeah.
teams is, in that sense, I feel like this season we give us a lot of things, a huge weight to see a long gap. The whole world had a long gap. I mean, not just the Premier League, but I feel like this season summarized the Premier League for what it was. And apart from the break that we had, I feel like this was a good season as any other.
Right. Well, if I were to say what made this special was, I think, yeah, like Ryan touched upon the unpredictability of the whole season. Who would have thought that Sheffield United of all teams would finish in the top half? And I know after that Burnley, I guess. I mean, there were a lot of ups and downs, of course, for all teams, but it was a rather, let's say, a very volatile season where nothing was really, you know, fixed from the beginning, and except for maybe Liverpool winning the title. But
yeah,
yeah, but the break in between the whole thing, that was a huge, it could have gone either way because there are a lot of players who came out from the break unfit, and probably when they started playing again they were injured. So a lot of factors
Mhm.
that also came into being. But yeah,
yeah,
as a whole, the season was very. I don't know. I don't have an adjective to put there, but it was very, very entertaining as far as the football went. There are a lot of Premier League greats who have actually left the Prem, so I think we should address that as well because I think David
David
yeah.
Silva
Silva,
and Jan Vertonghen have both left City and Tottenham respectively. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's true. We're at the point of season where, there's also a lot of heartbreak going down and Legends Club, all that. Well, you said Silva, Vertong, and there was Leighton Baines announced retirement from
Right.
football.
Exactly.
He's been a great servant for the Premier League.
Yeah.
Pedro is now
Yeah.
moving away from Chelsea, going to
yeah.
Roma. He's
Right.
also been a pretty good player for Chelsea for the past 5 years. So yeah, it's been. I mean, at this point, there are a lot of people leaving. It's sad. It's bittersweet, but as well, because some of them are moving on to better
Right.
fields, better careers. So you just have to wish them luck. Hope
Yeah.
for the best for them
I mean,
and for your team.
I think we all miss David Silva in the Premier League. Almost every pundit that came on has praised him, and even Roy Keane had to admit that maybe he would have pulled him inside out. So
Rightly so. 10 years of consistent football and creating his magic on the pitch. It's not easy, and he's been there. I mean, he was there from the start. I mean, when he joined the club, he everything was not like it is right now, and the facilities, everything has improved for sure. But he has seen it all, done it all, and yeah, I think if they go on to win the Champions League, it'll be very sweet moment for him.
Yeah.
Have ticked all the brackets.
Yeah, I think especially the 17-18 season where he had that personal issue as well, where
His child was prematurely born. Yeah,
that the mental fortitude.
just shows a character. Yeah, I remember reading him, having to play one match and then travel all the way to Spain to see his baby and then come back and play under this immense pressure. It's not easy.
That aspect, I feel like David Silva will go down as one of the icons on the field, and to show that level of consistency and more than anything, the professionalism that we've seen from him, and a very humble player. And I feel like City will, City has great. They have a lot of great players, but I still feel like they will miss him on the pitch, and most definitely off the pitch.
He was the kind of player, no matter what team you supported, you wanted him to play well.
Exactly.
That kind of
Exactly.
player. So,
Yeah, that
he'll
kind
be
of
a big miss. He's also now the thing with City is that they only have Sergio Aguero left from the original title winning squad.
Yeah,
The Aguero
that's true.
squad.
It's the end of an era.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I feel like now City are seeing a lot of legends, if I may.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you start seeing a lot of players that you
Exactly.
go down as legends. And
This is that first batch, right? Yaya Toure was one.
Yeah.
He's another. I think Fernandinho was next in the list.
Fine, we'll Right. come back to the topic at hand. Right. So
Mhm.
that's the final day. Three teams fighting for two spots in the Champions League. So that's Manchester United, Chelsea. Finally, they ended up occupying those two spots. But my question is, what did you guys think of the two games that actually went about? United, Leicester, and Chelsea Wolves. Sorry. What are your thoughts on the match as such?
Well, I did see both games side by side. So Chelsea versus Wolves was initially a very tight affair, but credit to the players, credit to Mason for his quality, Giroud for his professionalism, and they ended up having a very comfortable win in the end. I was actually hoping Manchester United to not make it through, but that was just in my heart. But in my head, I knew they would make it through because the difference for United and Leicester have been that they've had the required squad depth. When Leicester had their injury issues, they really didn't have anyone to turn to. Even the people they turned to, like Wes Morgan and James Justin, they were either too experienced or not at all.
Yeah.
What mattered was the squad depth. If the season had resumed as normal without the unfortunate pandemic, probably United wouldn't have made it through because as in the beginning, once the season ended, United were actually missing Rashford and Martial. They were both out through injury. Pogba, yeah.
Pogba as well.
So maybe they would have made it through then. But as unfortunate as it is, United and Chelsea pull through, and it's good to see four big clubs in the Champions League next.
Right. What about the United Leicester game?
Yeah, just as Smash said, the Chelsea game was a very comfortable win for them. It was anything but comfortable for us. I mean, I still remember, not being able to sit down until that penalty whistle was given for us. I mean, it was really blood pressure on toast. And it was not as if, they played great football. It just felt that, they would have had more end product because in the first half, we were not pushing through. And I think Ole gave the boys the right message in the halftime, and they came out and showed the character to, capitalize when they got the moment. So it was special. I mean, that's why players like Bruno, they eventually get your team to a higher state because he didn't have the best of his games, but it was that one moment when we needed him and he capitalized. And it was a pressure penalty. It's not like it was an easy chance. It was a pressure penalty, and you could actually see the guy smiling when he got the penalty. He just went up there, took the ball, and
I think the post-match interview where Kasper Schmeichel left the ball next to him, Bruno said that he showed fear. I think those were his words, but that shows the
Yeah,
mentality of a man like that. But
exactly.
I think United, went through had a very professional game where they just, it was not their best game, of course.
Right. Not just about that particular match. I'd like just like summarize what's happened with United after the whole after the
Pandemic.
Premier League resumed. I
Mhm.
feel like once the Premier League resumed, we were all ready to, we were aware that teams weren't going to be as fit. We weren't going to see the level of football that we saw before the lockdown and the such. But I feel like United and Chelsea were one of those very few teams that came back stronger than they went. And the form that we saw from United after the Premier League resumed was, I feel like I was telling a couple of my friends that watching those matches, the last time I felt that happy watching a United match and that interested and involved was probably 7 years ago. And I don't
Yeah,
remember
I think, yeah,
watching a United match knowing that we would win.
yeah,
And then
right,
again, towards the second half of the games, second half in the game, I really thought we were gonna end up fifth Chester United, and I was ready for it. I was mentally prepared, especially with the 2 draws, and I'm like, okay, cool, we've had our run now, and Europa it is. But we showed heart, I guess. I don't know what it was, but I'm glad the results are what they were. And it was a tough fight. It was
yeah,
not easy in any way. But
right.
yeah,
For the teams in the bottom half or the bottom of the table, there the situation was quite interesting as well. So it was a very
mhm.
interesting battle at the bottom of the table where Watford and Bournemouth along with Norwich tumbled into the championship, with Villa staying up by the skin of their teeth, might I add. What did you think about those matches? The Bournemouth, Everton, Watford, Arsenal, and Villa West Ham matches.
uh, right. I mean, because all the games were at the same time, I couldn't really watch them. And I feel like if anything, it's sad uh, to watch any of the teams go, because I feel like all of the teams have had at least 2-3 really good games that against mediocre teams, against their peers, against better teams, right? And it's honestly sad to watch the teams go, even the teams that are leaving. Burnley, Bournemouth, they've given us great football, right? And they've showed heart. And if I feel like if there was one word to just describe the bottom half, it would be sad. I'm just sad to watch any of those teams go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Watford and Bournemouth were, they kept it till the last day. It's just
Bournemouth, they actually knew going into the final they had to. They lost a game and they paid the price for it.
Mhm.
It was a matter of, it was just a margin of small. It was a very small margin, but Villa
right.
showed the required quality at the required time. They pulled through. I don't think it was because of that moment. Maybe it was
Yeah,
integral. They played really good football, and they had a man by the name of Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish.
yeah.
A true leader.
Yeah.
I guess he gets his leadership qualities. John Terry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
What
I
a
mean,
nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong. I'm pretty sure that's some of the effects from John Terry have seeped through to Jack Grealish. But
Mhm.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they can actually build a statue of Jack Grealish outside the Villa Stadium because that's
The
the kind
guy
of
is
effort.
just,
That's the kind of effort
he's
he's
just
put for this
24.
team.
I mean, yeah. And when you see him play, you don't feel that, that guy is just 24. He has a maturity which is, far from the years that you can predict.
Right.
And
Actually, if I was to talk about the last game and last game alone, Bournemouth actually played very well against Everton,
yeah, they did.
who've been having a pretty bad season in general. Everton,
Yeah.
even
They
with
finished 12th, right?
yeah,
12th or
even with Carlo Ancelotti coming in, and yeah, they finished. Actually, this is the first time in Carlo Ancelotti's coaching career that a team that he's managed has finished bottom
exactly.
half. So
Exactly.
when you have a team like that, and I really don't know what happened with Everton. It's not like they didn't spend enough money. They did, and it's not about bad players because they have players like
Yeah,
Richarlison.
they have good players in their squad. I mean,
What happened to is that the players that needed to step up didn't step up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pickford, number one, didn't step up. Theo Walcott, a veteran of the Premier League, didn't step up. Richarlison, is their record sign. Moise Kean was supposed to be.
He wasn't used
Yeah.
enough.
He still didn't, he didn't exude any confidence
Exactly.
in the starts.
Yeah, that's true.
The players
I feel Calvert-Lewin was the only good, takeaway from
the
this
bright
season
spot
for them,
from that
man.
season.
And
But-
even Holgate. Holgate was also very calm and composed and very nice in whichever game he started.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like the Everton we saw this season was again just another team not capitalizing on the momentum that they brought through in the first half of the season. And it's not unnatural to see that in teams, but yeah, they had, like Avinash said, like he mentioned, there were a lot of players that could have showed up and stepped up their game.
But they
it
didn't.
is what it is.
Yeah. So I think from one side of the mercy side to the other, let's talk about the champions. I mean, what a season! I mean, they've crushed it, absolutely dominated the league. I mean, it's really hard to ask you this question, but who do you say is the standout performer in this Liverpool team? Which, let's be honest, they were pretty unplayable in the beginning of the season.
You knew that this was coming from, I think, 2 seasons back when they finished in the final.
Yeah.
You knew that something special was on the way. You knew that, once they addressed that issue at the back, you knew that they're going to come hard. And they did. It did take 2 years, but Klopp has done the right things. And they were so close last season. They just lost one match. And
that goal line clearance from John Stones didn't really help.
Oh, God. Yeah, exactly.
But
They
the barest
didn't.
of margins. But yeah, but they did it this time around. And,
So, standout player, if you have to choose a standout player, it has to be Virgil van Dijk. And he's been a rock in their defense. I mean,
right.
You can see that, once this guy came in, Trent and Robertson, both of them just, pushed on a little more further because Virgil was like, you guys go play, I'll handle everything here. And rightly so he did. He was literally, I mean, I don't think that, apart from John Terry or certain Vincent Company, I don't think that anyone has been this impactful at the back.
The more best players, obviously the whole team's been, they've been spectacular. But I feel for such a young age, Trent Alexander-Arnold, why he is the world's best. I mean, okay, maybe people say he might be that great defensively. I disagree. Okay, he might not be the best, but he certainly is.
He does the job.
It's not like he's put a foot wrong in the defensive aspects of his game. I'm not even going to say anything about his attacking.
Exactly. They defend as a unit, right?
Well.
Right. So we have a centre back and a right back. So Ryan, who do you think is the standout performer from this Liverpool squad?
Right. For me, I feel like towards the first half of the season, I would have thought that Sadio Mane would have taken it home. The heart and the fight that he brought to the pitch, and to actually, if you look at it from a fan's point of view, a fan of football, if I may, right? You watch a team that's performing at that level, you're just expecting them to exceed expectations. But then again, of all these 11 players, you see this one player, Mane, on the pitch. You see they're going to win the game, but when you watch this man play, you see the heart that he brings to the game. Exceptional worker. And I feel like it would be tough for me to decide between Mane and Van Dijk, because Van Dijk, I feel, has held the team together. Van Dijk's been that voice that's kept the team together, right? He's been the fortress at the back, not just a wall.
Exactly.
So I feel like Mane and Van Dijk, because I'm unable to pick one.
Right. Actually, as far as players who've actually performed very well from that team, I don't think I can pick one, because that team entirely it's just insane how good they are. But if I were to pick somebody who's not given enough credit in that team, it has to be Fabinho. He's the Makelele of the team. He's the Makelele of the team in the sense that they've what do you say? They've signed a player who can act as that midfield destructor, but at the same time chip in with a few goals because we've scored a couple of worldies this season. I'm
The
talking
guy
about
is a rocket for
yeah,
a
yeah,
right foot.
yeah. So he's been exceptional this season. I think I'll go with Fabinho for my pick for that team.
Yeah, as much, I mean, as yeah, we're rivals and all that, but in the spirit of football, that's greater than anything else. I really wanted, especially after last season and after Gerard. Gerard is a legend. He was a great player, right? And it was sad that it all happened, but I really wanted them to hit that 100-point mark, which they could have.
Yeah, they could have.
It was something I
But
really wanted to see for the team.
there was a massive drop in the quality,
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
that the team brought before
but
the
it really
restart
did
and
not
after the
seem
restart, right?
far-fetched. It
Yeah.
didn't seem like a long shot.
Like a lot of it also has to do with the mentality. I mean, knowing that you've won the league like 7-8 games before, don't you think that,
I mean, it
somewhere
shouldn't
down?
affect you. I feel like it shouldn't affect you when you're winning it for the first time in 30 years. I feel like you should have gone for
No,
the
like, when you know that, the job is done, you tend to, like relax a bit, which is, I'm not taking anything away from that.
I think they hit the
And
beer
I'm not
cans a
saying
little
that
too hard that after
yeah.
the title celebrations. But I mean, yeah, that's probably a topic for another day. But let's just say that Liverpool had an exceptional season, and but I think more than them having an exceptional season, it was a rather shambolic title defense from one Manchester City. Liverpool continued the push from last season. They didn't really let up. So, what do you think went wrong with City's title defense?
City throughout the season were just too inconsistent. I mean, they've
Yeah.
had a lot of games where they had 24 shots, 10 on target, but they didn't have a goal to show for
They
it.
were very blunt, exactly.
In the beginning of the season, if you remember, a lot of people were saying that City is going to win the title because I remember Jose Mourinho saying that Manchester City's A team and B team can win
B
the title.
team, yeah.
A
Then
team and
Liverpool.
mid. Then
No,
Liverpool.
it's
can
not.
win, yeah.
It's not the problem. They didn't have a problem with squad depth. They actually shoot signings like Joao Cancelo. So they didn't. It was just that they were very inconsistent. They couldn't. I don't know. They didn't have that cutting edge to their play. Maybe they missed Sane a little bit, but still, for a team filled with that many superstars, to not get the title, even after having 5 players score 10 goals each in the Premier League,
Yeah.
it was not a very
Yeah. I mean, I think
Liverpool, to their
yeah.
credit, were consistent throughout the season. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel,
think,
that they kept chopping and changing a lot with their team.
Yeah, but and I feel like that has its own disadvantages. You can't I mean, having an all-star team, it is hard to manage, right? Everybody wants their game time. Those kind of players also not getting that consistent amount of game time
Yeah.
bit them in the ass. I feel. I mean, that's what I think. But I'm no pundit.
Well,
but I feel like
I think
it is hard to manage a team that's that star-studded.
right, but
It's
Pep,
probably a
I
drawback
mean,
also.
they do have one of the best managers in the world, as if not the best. But I think City's main issue was a Vincent Company shaped hole in their defense. In
Yeah,
that,
they didn't address that the fact that Vincent Company has left,
right?
and I don't think that they invested properly. I mean, getting a Rodri and a Cancelo.
No, actually, their
would have-
signings as a whole were actually pretty decent. With like Avinash mentioned, they were a couple of shrewd signings. Maybe okay, they Joao Cancelo and actually Rodri was a pretty decent, pretty decent.
Yeah,
signing.
it was a decent signing, but
It's just
what
that,
they
yeah,
needed desperately was a centre.
exactly. They needed a centre half, and they didn't really get that. And not just a centre half, because they lacked that sort of leadership presence of Vincent Company on that pitch. Because I didn't see anybody really step up to take over his spot from as a leader in the dressing room and on the pitch. But I'm pretty sure though the only reason that they are second is because the exceptional season that Kevin De Bruyne had, where with maybe it would have been a lesser point gap between second and third if De Bruyne didn't have the season that he had. So I think that's pretty much.
That's true.
He just Kevin De Bruyne had one of the seasons of his life. I think there was this I don't know, I think it was a quote from Jose Mourinho, De Bruyne himself about Jose Mourinho when he was in Chelsea, where De Bruyne was called into Jose's office, and apparently Jose had 5 papers in front of him which showed attacking statistics of I think 3 or 4 central midfielders. I'm not really sure of this, but it said that Jose told Kevin that even if Mata left, he would be 5th choice, or now he's going to be 6th choice. So, so for a player like that to have a season like this, maybe I think how many seasons ago was that? I don't really remember, but to have that kind of
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago, and I'm sure that Jose is not gonna be happy that he said that. But I did hear John Terry speaking about this, and he was vocal about this. He was pretty vocal, and he was defending his most favorite manager. And ever so rightly, he was right to say that the Chelsea team of that time, say Salah, De Bruyne, and Lukaku, all of these guys didn't have the best of years. But John Terry was prompt on saying that they were simply not good enough for that team. So you can't really blame Jose for that.
No, I'm not blaming Jose. Let's just put. I was just sharing an interesting fact. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, but it's been a phenomenal growth for De Bruyne.
Exactly.
He went
Exactly.
to Chelsea. He went to Wolfsburg, where he beat the Bundesliga.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh God, I
It
remember
was
that
just
season.
this
I think-
season broken was Muller,
Yeah.
and then he came to England, and he's got the record in England as well.
Yeah. So our next, maybe the next thing I have in mind is to talk about the best player this season. But considering the discussion that we had, I don't think we need to. Unless anybody has another answer, I think we
don't
can.
think there's anybody.
I mean, many players did have a good season, but
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Young
any
is consistent,
debate
isn't it?
over the fact
Yeah,
that
I
who's
think-
been the best.
A couple of honorable mentions here and there, maybe Sadio Mane. I think we can say that he's had a good season. So I think we can talk about it's a pretty unpleasant thing to talk about next, but who do you think had the their worst season, personally speaking? I'm not talking about a bad signing, but a bad season.
See, I'll put it this way that I still feel that he's a good player.
But yeah,
I think we couldn't see that player whom we saw last year. I mean, it was a good signing. I
think
really
you have to be a little
thought
more
that was a good signing.
it's an
But
audio
yeah,
podcast, we
it's
can't-
Nicholas.
Yeah.
It's
Thought you
Nicholas.
were refraining from saying the name as long as you could.
Yeah.
Never guessed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a few good friends who are who support the Gunners. So yeah, it's Nicholas
Yeah.
Pepe. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I'm going back to the bridge, and I'm going to answer Kepa Arrizabalaga because it was a very average season, not even average, below average. For a keeper
Yeah.
who's actually been in the Premier League for already a year before this, you could see that the team spirit, the team mentality dropped when Kepa was on field. They never trusted. They did. I mean, Kepa never, had that authority.
Yeah.
He,
That,
he-
Yeah.
he didn't used to come for crosses.
that voice from the
Never came
back.
for-
Yeah.
He lost. Yeah, he lost. That affected the team. Then his defense, crumbling. We were actually the weakest team when it came to set piece defending.
Mhm.
Statistically, this year we were the
Yeah.
weakest team. He conceded 8% of all Chelsea. I mean, I'm not saying it's all his fault.
Yeah, of course.
yeah,
If he didn't really seem like the kind of guy who could make a save. He didn't really have any. You think about De Gea, you think about Pickford or Henderson. They made a few saves. You remember some saves. I do not
Yeah, yeah.
remember any Kepa has made the whole season.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of players do come to mind, but I feel like it would be, to me, it's just two keepers. Yeah, one is Kepa, and the other's England's dilemma.
so-called number one.
England's number one. Yeah, Mr. Pickford. Because I feel like
Yeah.
this was the season he really had to
Step up
prove his worth.
Yeah,
prove his
exactly.
mettle,
with Euros,
because
especially
considering
being
the
pushed for
fact
next
that,
year.
Euros
But the
coming
thing
up.
with Pickford is that he does actually give one or two saves for the camera every season.
The one or two those one or two saves aren't going to get them through the Euros, much less the World Cup, which he could have if he successfully managed to get through.
But he was kind of good for the World Cup. I mean, he wasn't one of the.
There was a huge drop
bad
off
player.
in
Exactly, and all the more reason to say that his performance was a little more than just disappointing.
Yeah.
But okay, to be fair, David De Gea, when he came to his first 2 years, when that
He was very shaky. Yeah.
he had a very shaky start.
Maybe Kepa can, if he somehow just sits and talks and figures out his problems.
Right. So if I were to pick the player who had, there's actually a lot. I mean, there are a few mid-table strikers who come to mind, but I think
Mhm.
I think I have to agree with Avinash with Kepa having a pretty bad season, personally speaking. Another one would be Joelinton, who scored 2 goals in the entirety of the Prem, even having played a very significant amount of matches. So I think there are quite a few who could do better next season.
Mhm.
So another question would be, who do you think was the most underrated player this season?
I mean, Sheffield United as a whole had a very, it was a very surprising season. You never expected them to do so well, coming straight off the Championship into the Premier. For the first, till lockdown, they were actually in the top 5, and you were like,
Exactly.
what
They
if,
were solid, right? They massively overachieved. They were
what
solid.
if they pull like a miracle and actually qualify for Champions League? And it was a great possibility till Manchester City did not actually get back. So I was actually hoping that it qualify. It didn't happen. But so a player, any Sheffield United player, I'm going to say John Lundstrom, because he's been very instrumental.
It's been amazing.
There. He's been amazing for the team. He's been amazing for FPL managers, likewise, but for the team as well.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who popped up with the important goals. He was a very burly fellow who could, make sure that no man goes through. So he actually personified the Sheffield United style of.
Yeah.
And he did that.
Yeah, he was a go-to man and was very consistent.
Yeah, so I feel he was an unsung hero in the Premier League.
And Lundstrom, that's what I feel like. Sheffield as a team were underrated. The fight they put up, and it was
they were actually favorites to be in a relegation battle. They were odds to be in a relegation battle. So
exactly. So I'll back my team here. I'll say that the starting half of the season, apart from that first game, was not that good for us.
We were very
and exactly. And our midfield was literally in shambles when Pogba left. And I think Fred massively stepped up, and he doesn't get much credit for that. And he didn't do anything wrong apart from the fact that Pogba came back and we got Bruno. And then Matic also was reborn, so he couldn't actually do anything. He did everything right to miss out on the spot, so which is really sad. I mean, he was there to anchor the team.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was there to anchor the team. Him, coupled with McTominay, I think showed a lot of character. When the team was not doing well, they were consistently maybe a 7 or an 8 out of 10 every game. And another honorable mention is for Martial. I mean, I think this was the season that he needed.
Yeah, especially
many had given lots of stick to him for saying that he won't be a good striker, and Ole did the goods, and he really rediscovered him, and getting 24 goals, I think 22 goals in all season, all competition. That's a big thing. I mean, he was a 50-50 winger. Some days he was good, some days he wasn't, but this was actually,
I feel like most days, some days he was good, some days he was bad, and then most days he just didn't like to work. That was probably
but I think he kind of rediscovered his love for football after Bruno.
Exactly. And another thing which I would like to say, I'm not massively proud of saying this, but a lot of Manchester United fans, even they have given him a lot of stick when he actually didn't deserve it, because see, for example, if he was a local lad from Salford, I don't think that he'll get this much stick.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I feel that he is a much better talent than Rashford, just on the base of technique. I think
Yeah.
he's much more gifted than
His
Rashford.
close control is just unparalleled. He's just really good. If you think, I think
Exactly.
that goal in the
That's
Europa
true.
League, I don't remember which team it was, but sat I think two defenders down and went and scored that marvelous goal.
He's whenever he does the goods and whenever he delivers, it's so effortless. I mean, even that goal against Chelsea, that header was pure
Oh
class.
yeah, exactly.
I agree, Martial, great header against Chelsea. But that says a lot about Chelsea's defending when Martial actually wins a header. Right?
Yeah,
right
that's
before
true. That's true.
That's actually very
when the
true.
game was going on, I vividly remember telling my friend who I was watching it that if we're going to concede, it's because Christian is going to make an error, and that's exactly what happened.
So for me, an underrated player, I think I have three players in mind. All three are holding midfielders. So I think there is Declan Rice, who's had a good season, even though his team has had a bad one. Another, bright spark for in the holding midfield division had to be Wilfred Ndidi. Ndidi has actually he's been that metronome in the Leicester midfield with I think he's second to Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the most number of tackles. If my memory serves. So
That's true. That's true.
that kind of shows the kind of that kind of, how do I put it, defensive acumen that he possesses. At the same time, progressing the ball as well. So he's been a pretty good player for Leicester. Right. So another player that comes to mind when the whole another holding midfielder has to be Scott McTominay. Like what a good season he had before the the break, and how he stepped up.
But he did pick up an injury as well.
Yeah. So especially that goal against City in the derby.
Oh God.
That was just it's a very emotional goal.
Pure passion.
Yeah. So that kind of
doing
shows
the double on the neighbors.
Yeah. So that kind of shows the kind of player he is, and he's had a pretty good season, all things considered. Now I think we've discussed the best players and all that. Now I think this might be a good discussion. The best manager this season.
I personally believe Lampard had an exceptional. I was more. I'm going to say Chris Wilder because I really love it. Yeah, because like I said before, when I John Lundstrom and to have a team coming. When you come from the championship, you don't really finish in the top half.
Yeah, that's very rare. That's very, very rare.
It shows you that as soon as you come from, you watch Chris Wilder's interview. He said that he made sure that his players improved their physicality so that they were ready for the. And even after the pandemic, even after the whole lockdown thing, for a club like Sheffield United to keep up in the top half, to still play good football was going to be hard, and they didn't really have the resources.
Exactly.
Like a lot of big clubs like City, Chelsea, they can every player has their own personal trainer. There's no such Sheffield United.
Yeah,
so
another team
managers to do that very well, to make sure that the team comes back from the project from the lockdown the same way was actually very commendable. So I think Chris Wilder is the pick for manager of the.
We have
to back that up, another team that actually finished in the top half straight after coming from the championship was Wolves. But you have to consider one thing, that they spent over 100 million to get that. So taking nothing away from Chris Wilder, he's been an absolute genius. I mean, his formation speaks for himself, and the way he plays. Like overlapping centre backs, I had never heard of that.
Yeah, so a totally unique system for the Prem, and maybe that kind of helped them a little bit. I mean, they did make a couple of good signings with Ollie McBurney, I think, coming in this season. He did, chip in with a couple of goals.
Yeah, best manager. Yeah, it has to be Klopp, man.
Right.
Only for the fact that he's made everyone in that Merseyside believe, and he has that special bond with the fans, right? Like the passion he brings, it was no different wherever he was. I mean,
exactly. From
when he was in Dortmund. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. He just has a knack to pick the teams that has the best fans. So
yeah, he brought a charisma to.
Exactly,
he brought a charisma, if I may, to the game, and the way he behaves with his fans, with his players, interviews, whatever it is, right? there is a sense of uniformity to it. And to take this team to fight the management initially when he did come in, he had big tussles with the man.
Yeah, for me, I think there are three candidates for me for the best manager that position. Where my first person would be Brendan Rodgers. Now, Brendan Rodgers only because where that Leicester team finished the season. Yeah, sure, they
Yeah.
slipped into fifth, but you must realize
They
that
were they were
37
second for
Yeah.
at least 3/4 of the league.
Exactly. So 37 out of 38 weeks they were in the top four. So for a team which, let's face it, they're not they don't have the kind of resources that City have or that United have to kind of finish in that top four or be in there at least 37 out of 38 weeks is just really good. Or it's a very commendable job from Brendan Rodgers, who had that kind of CV. Another person or another manager would, again, like Avinash said, be Chris Wilder, because the work that he's done with Sheffield has been exceptional, especially coming from the Championship and finishing in the top half. It's been quite the season for Sheffield. I think another special mention must go to Wolves boss Nuno Espirito Santo, not just because Wolves finished in the top half. I mean, top seven. I think they finished seventh, didn't they? They finished seventh. So not just because of that, because they had a Europa League campaign to also go into, and that fighting on two fronts for a club which 2 seasons ago was in the second division can be quite tasking. And that kind of, they did show that effects in the beginning of the season where they didn't really get a lot of results. So I think to overcome that and still finish in the top half of the table, actually in the top seven now, that in seventh position, actually is a very commendable job. So I think credit goes to Nuno as well. So, but yeah, I think my pick is Chris Wilder. So we're divided. Right, so it's a 2-2, but so let's just let's just say that both Klopp and Wilder both had great seasons. Right, so now transfer business this year has been iffy. Let's just put it that way. There have been big hits and huge misses. So who do you think had the best and worst transfer? Who were the best and worst transfers this season?
Not worse.
I mean, yeah, okay,
Most-
that's a very harsh way of saying it. It's not
Yeah.
worse. Yeah, okay.
Most underperforming transfer
Yeah, right.
have been
Sorry, my bad. Yeah. I'm sorry.
70 mil for a wing,
Oh, right, Nicola Pepe. Cool.
20 million for who actually had a very good season at Lille.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He didn't really perform what according to the level you thought he would.
There is an adjustment period for every player, and he didn't quite play that well this season. So I think he has to be probably an underperforming transfer. Who do you think was the best transfer, Avinash?
I mean,
Oh.
it should be Aaron Van Bissaka. Because I'll tell you something. Obviously, he was very good at Crystal Palace, and that's why he was paid the money to come to United. I think
Yeah.
United's defense has improved a lot because of Van Bissaka and Luke Shaw's form, not because Maguire has been absolutely phenomenal. I do not think
For
so.
sure.
I think it's been the fullbacks who have actually helped United become a better team defensively. I think Van Bissaka has been a very principal part in that transformation.
I mean,
Yeah, the best transfer. I mean,
it's kind of
I
obvious,
think
isn't
that
it?
this has been the best transfer for us after Robin van Persie.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
But you have to stop
it's
making
clearly
excuses.
Bruno.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with Harry Maguire is that he has made our team defensively much more better, but that's not because he turned up. It's because he was better than Bai, and he was obviously anyone's better than Phil Jones. I think that's the reason why we've been much better defensively. And I still don't understand why we've been holding on to Phil Jones. I mean, and given him that number 4.
Club legend. I
Oh,
mean, give
God.
him credit where he's due.
Yeah. Actually, I
Cult
think,
hero.
yeah.
The amount of own goals that he scored, oh God.
I mean,
He
I think
was
he's
trying,
the
man.
only one.
You cut him some
and
slack.
David De Gea are the only one left from that last Van Persie season. I think, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
from the champ.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
Yeah.
supposed
So
to
the
be. Mhm.
Yeah, so what? He scored some own goals. He looked beautiful doing it. I mean,
Right.
that's with
Ryan,
the best transfer. Bruno has been the best transfer.
I mean, I have to ask you for the worst? I mean, I think the pretty
I feel
clear on.
like we can
I've
just
already mentioned.
fast track because I know Ryan and Panicker are going to say Bruno best and Pepe was. So I think we can
Actually,
just
no,
fast.
I was going to say that Sebastian Haller was the worst in terms of transfer and the whole thing. But yeah, I was going to say Bruno was the best transfer anyway. So, I mean, if Ryan has
Yeah,
to be the
so
worst
I mean,
transfer,
that's a no-brainer for any United fan. Man.
that's
Yeah.
true. But like, no, on that front, I would. Bruno was really a pivotal transfer that we needed. He changed the mentality of the game. But yeah, he did come in towards the
Exactly.
second. Like what Avinash mentioned, Van Bissaka is also underrated in the sense that
Yeah.
you look at a player like TAA and then you look at Van Bissaka, right? Yeah, I feel like they complement each other. But if they were one player, that would probably one of the best right back the world would see.
yeah, I think we've covered all our bases in terms of individual, what do you say? Individual players and all that. But, again,
Yeah.
the Prem is all about the team. And I think we can, have a short list of, or we can make our own best 11 of this Premier League season. And I think we should start from the goalkeeper. Um guys, what are your thoughts on the best goalkeeper this season?
Pope,
Kepa. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, jokes apart. Let's talk about the best.
Pope. How about Pope?
Yeah,
I think
Pope.
the best keeper has to be Pope or Henderson.
Yeah, it's a coin toss between the both. I mean,
I think, but
fair
Nick
play to
Pope-
Henderson. Great season, but it has to be.
it has to be Nick Pope. So I think Gareth Southgate is going to have a huge headache if he's going to drop Pickford and play either Henderson or Nick Pope. So
now we move on to defense.
Yeah, so we'll move on to defense.
Where 3 out of 4 are just.
Yeah, they're no-brainers. I don't think
No, offensively, I would pick Bissaka over.
Okay, so we take a vote and we choose Alexander Arnold.
Yeah, it's fine. But I'm just
It's not
saying,
really
it's
a
my
competition. See, no, but
It was a wheeled attack.
no, but I think Ryan has quite a point. But Trent has had an exceptional season all around. I think individually speaking, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold had a better season than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Credit where credit is to both of them. But Trent walks into this team. The left back spot's just open for Roberts. He can just take it. And one centre back. That one centre back is also Van Dijk's. The second centre back, that might cause
simple.
Okay, cool. So, do we have any takers for that centre back spot?
Are we looking at FPL takers? Because
no, I don't think we can really.
He's not really a centre back. Yeah.
I don't think we can really put in FPL because let's just face it, that's not how things really work. But credit to John Lundstrom, he's had a very good season. Actually, the end.
I think it can go to Soyuncu.
Yeah, Soyuncu was
Should be
Soyuncu, yeah.
Or
Soyuncu has been a rock.
Yeah,
he was signed as Maguire's replacement.
And he's done
Yeah,
better than
and
him.
he's ended up being better than him. Yeah,
Right,
yeah, this year at least.
I mean, he's quite the find. I don't think we've ever heard of Thiago Soyuncu as a prospect or anything. I mean, I haven't. I haven't heard of him before this season. So fair play to him for making himself known, and I think he's had an exceptional season. Coming in for the world's most expensive defender, and doing better than him. So Soyuncu slots in right next to Van Dijk on our team. So
that'd be a good partnership, I think.
Let's move on to midfield. I think one midfielder kind of has sealed a spot. So I think we're going with two attacking midfielders and one.
He picks himself.
Right. So
let's go.
There's no denying that.
Two attacking and one defensive midfielder. So one of the attacking midfielders kind of picked themselves. I mean, it's
you
not
can't
even
have a team without him.
It's really not even a competition. So I think Kevin De Bruyne slots into that left attacking midfield. I think that spot is his.
Wherever you put him, it doesn't matter. He's gonna assist. He's gonna score.
Assist and he's gonna score. So
Yeah.
the defensive midfielder options, there are quite a few options like I mentioned before. So
Yeah.
what do you guys think? I personally, my vote goes to Wilfred and Didi.
Yeah.
So Avinash,
See,
what yeah,
yeah. Go. Ash,
Avinash, what
go.
I'm going to
Declan Rice.
former Chelsea Youth Academy product.
Right.
So that's you guys can.
Right. So there's one Rice and one Indidi. Rahul,
Hmm.
what is your call on this one?
Yeah, it's a face off between Fabinho and NDD for me.
So who
But I
takes?
think since Fabinho has a better defensive unit to cover him, I think that it can go to NDD where he has to handle a lot of the pressure by himself.
Right. So Ryan, what do you think? Who's your?
Right. Yeah. I was frankly I was gonna go for, but now that and what he just did, I yeah that's true. With having players like Van Dijk, a great keeper also support him,
Exactly.
I feel like NDD's done a is
Yeah.
definitely would be the pick.
Right. So we have one holding midfielder in Wilfred Ndidi and one attacking midfielder in Kevin De Bruyne. I think we need to pick our second attacking midfielder. There are quite a few names for this one. I mean, I would certainly put Bruno Fernandes up there, but considering he's only had half a season to play, he wouldn't
Yeah, it wouldn't be
I'm.
fair to.
yeah, it
Yeah.
I
wouldn't be
would
fair.
actually. I think it should go to Jack Grealish
Yeah, Jack
Yeah.
Grealish
for
Yeah.
for the
Grealish.
effort
that's.
Hmm.
that he's put. I'm actually
He's shown
surprised.
that he's a true Premier League player.
I thought Avinash might suggest Mateo Kovacic for that spot, but I don't know. It seems like
I wanted to, but then I feel like now when you're looking at the whole or the whole balance of it, if you're going to attack midfield, I think Kovac fit in that role that well.
right. So I think
Yeah.
So I think Jack Grealish takes up that spot. Wow, that actually is a pretty decent midfield
Wait,
trio.
I would also put in, or I would like to throw Henderson's name also
Hmm?
because he's also had an amazing
You want
year.
to throw Henderson's name out like fully? Never.
No, he
No,
went into the fray.
into the fray.
you can't deny that he had a good season, man.
Right. He's had an
I'm
exceptional
not denying
season.
it, but he's going to get all the records. He's just not going to get any love from me.
Yeah, I mean, Avinash has made his thoughts clear on Henderson way before. I think
Yeah, I mean, he
3,
said
4
that
years
Yeah.
he's
ago.
playing the wrong game,
Yeah,
the wrong
so
sport.
that was so. I don't think Henderson can
See,
have
see, we knew that he's not going to be the next Gerrard, of course, but
I mean, yeah,
he's done the dirty work for the team. He's always been there as a captain, as a leader, and he's done very little wrong this season. He's been a true leader, and he's led from the front.
that is true. But he still doesn't get a spot on this team. I'm sorry, but Jack Grealish takes that one.
Fine.
Right.
Yeah, I can't
That's fine.
complain.
I thought we had. Do we have an agreement on Jack Grealish? I think me
Yeah,
and
we do.
Avinash.
Who who did Ryan choose?
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
who
no,
Ryan-
And
going with,
Oh, Ryan's
He's
also
also
going.
it's a
with
hard
Grealish.
fought spot.
Right.
It's a really hard fought spot.
I mean, I think he deserves that spot for his performance in the last game alone. Because I mean,
Yeah, he does.
he
Not
did
just for the last game. He's been turning up every game.
right. He's the most foul player in the Prem and all that, so he has the record.
Yeah.
So I think Jack Grealish slots
Moving on to the
into
front three.
that middle. Yeah. So our front three. I have a feeling this is going to be very Liverpool dominated, but let's keep it as non-biased as possible. But let's go.
Yeah.
The front three. I think we'll start off with from the left wing.
Mm-hmm.
The left winger. I mean, my vote goes to Sadio Mane. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
We are in agreement.
Yeah, we are in agreement.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in agreement. Yeah.
So that's
No doubt on that.
Surprising.
That's a unanimous Sadio Mane. I mean,
Except for that 3 months where Rashford was unbelievable, I think the whole
Rashford.
season belongs to Mane.
I think cool. So Sadio Mane gets the nod on the left side. On the right side, this might be
That is a
little
tough
more
one.
contentious one. My vote actually goes to Sterling, Raheem Sterling, for the most I mean, he's had a very good season individually speaking, but you know, saying
See,
that
he's been very improved and he's been amazing since Pep came in. But I just don't want to choose
no,
him.
I mean, I mean,
I don't know why,
I mean,
but I just don't want to choose him.
Salah also.
I think
has,
Smash is gonna back me up on that.
No, I actually believe Sterling.
right. So,
Oh man,
right. So I think Salah.
I'll tell you why.
Right. Okay.
Salah's first year in the Premier League was mind blowing.
Yeah. So
I actually felt that he was a one-season wonder. The way he was playing.
I mean, he was great this season, but he wasn't up to the mark. And I think Sterling was
Yeah.
which is kind of
a little
insane
bit
considering he scored 19 goals this season, which is
yeah. It's
True.
like people telling Messi and Ronaldo are out of form and they scored maybe just 2 goals in 3 games.
True.
yeah, that's actually true. So I mean,
That's a debate that we can't finish for sure.
right.
But
So
yeah,
it's an insane standard that these people have made for themselves. So I think my pick is Sterling. I'm pretty sure Avinash is in agreement with my pick.
I'm going Salah.
Right.
I'm taking Daniel James ahead of this guy.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's quite a statement.
Yeah,
right,
honestly, I
right.
don't like Sterling too much too, but I feel like it's a 3-1 for Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, he had a exceptional season. I mean, even though City didn't.
Yeah, he'd love to play right. He'd love to play right, considering the fact that Van Bissaka's on the right.
yeah.
Strong.
Okay, wow.
Strong.
Right,
I
strong
think
words.
Sterling also scored like a Puskas Award contender this season.
Yeah. Oh, what a goal, man! I remember. What a goal!
But
Falling down, the ball landing perfectly onto his head. It was calculated for sure, man. What a goal!
We
Sterling
need a
deserved
centre
that spot.
forward, and I think we're going to talk about a man that hasn't been touched upon at all this podcast.
Yeah.
Jamie Vardy himself.
We can do an advertisement for Red Bull if you want.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to feel hard done by if we don't really discuss him in this podcast.
But there's actually been good strikers this season.
They have, but I mean, a second.
See, considering the fact that Oba had a good season, and even Danny Ings.
Danny Ings had an exceptional
He had a great season.
He had an exceptional
He had a
season.
great season. Yeah, has to be Vardy. 33 years old, sprinting like he's what 20. Oh gosh.
Okay, we have a. Who do you think manages?
We were split on the whole best manager of the season. So yeah, I mean, Criswell has done a great job with Sheffield, but
I don't think his system would fit here.
Yeah, I think Klopp would make this team tick. Yeah, I think that's about it. Our team looks like this with I think Nick Pope in goal, Robertson and Trent
Alexander-Arnold
as fullbacks, Van Dijk and Soyuncu as our centre halves, De Bruyne,
Grealish and NDD holding the midfield.
Right, and Mane, Sterling, and Vardy as our front three. So it's actually a pretty good team. It's a very good team actually managed by Klopp. So that's all for today's episode. We'll be doing this on a weekly basis with a wider variety of topics such as tactical analysis, smart transfer targets, and European football. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and smash that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Instagram, the link for which is given in the description below. If you feel like there's something we need to discuss, let us know in the comment section. Until next week, we have been Off the Line. Thank you so much.